in champ select if you're
what
saying
were you
it's my
waiting for?
timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm in production
Finishing
as well
your
here,
point.
don't worry.
All right, Swain's banned again. No surprises.
Yeah, no surprises there. Well, will it be the Vlad that gets banned as the third one?
Another Olaf ban. All right.
Well, we saw that in our first series.
This
today.
is true. I mean, it's just interesting stuff.
Oh,
Vladimir is
okay.
banned this time by ROCCAT.
And I think it's either the Kindred here or Trick takes it. It's in this last rotation now because I think it's first pickable for G2. Just do they want to prioritize it, or do they let it go over to be a ban for ROCCAT and then they take it if it's available?
I don't think G2 were expecting them to be banning it either on their own side, so letting the timer tick down on this, it ends up being the Kindred ban.
What that tells you, though, for G2 is they feel like they can win this matchup without it, take it away from Airwaks, put him on a lower priority champion. Elise could be a pickup in the first rotation, maybe not the optimal pick. Rek'Sai would be the other jungler as well that is available.
Still taking plenty of time on that. Lot to go. Is this going to be first pickable, though? It is.
Yeah.
Rek'Sai taken away.
Yeah, I keep defaulting to Elise because, as you know, European, we not only like ties, we also like spiders and cocoons. Just generally throughout time. We've seen a lot of Elise play here in Europe, more so than other regions. So I'm actually quite happy to see our meta adapting away from the comfort pick of the Elise. It's probably still going to be in this game for Airwaks, or not, as Gragas gets locked in. So
right.
I'm kind of happy about that.
So we have Gragas Caitlyn. There's a decent bit of disengage enabled in the Gragas' kit, and the Kate is a takeaway from Zven, forcing him to play something with a little less range.
However, I don't think it's that big of a takeaway. He's still got the picks like Lucian available. He's still got, you know, an Ezreal if he wants it. Sivir is available too. So I don't think it's much of a takeaway because it's not like Zven is a player that only plays one champ.
That being said, Steelback has already shown that with a very long-range AD carry, he can shine. We had a couple of Jhin games. He did have one Caitlyn game.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game from him.
Yeah.
The Azir is available. We just saw it flashed over, but didn't get locked in.
Old habits.
I've already written Bard on my paper just in case
It's
they
probably
lock it. I don't.
Oh, that's an Azir lock,
okay,
though.
I was right.
And the Bard. All right.
At first, I was like, I'm going to have to cross that out because they're going to change it. But I'm happy. I didn't write the Azir yet, but I was nearly did. I nearly got there. But I like it. PerkZ again, we talked about how he can be a playmaker. And with a Rek'Sai on your team, you're lacking that primary engage, whereas Azir can be that.
There's a lot of
It's
mobility,
dangerous,
a lot of shifts available for G2 to try and find and catch some people. Let's see what ROCCAT decide to add into their composition. It's a Janna to pair with the Kate and a Viktor for Betsy.
ROCCAT are playing a please don't engage on us comp, where we just force all of your hard engage to be blown because they really have none right now. They've got Bard as a catch potential setup for engage. They can use that Tempered Fate, lock people down and follow up. But as for, you know, the likes of an engage, something like an Alistar, which wouldn't obviously be available because the Bard is here, they don't have that big initial burst of crowd control outside of Bard.
As the timer ticks down, see what Zven is going to prefer. We talked about the Lucian still being available for him, but there's also the possibility of a Kalista if he wants to throw the Bard in.
That would give them that engage.
Yeah.
Depends what they want from their AD carry role.
That's kind of the question. How well will they be able to chase down this ROCCAT squad who are looking a little slippery, looking a little backline focused? It is the Ezreal locked in for Zven, and we get a different player, but the same top lane.
Same champion. They're like, I think I can do it better, even for G2. So Expect is going to play a carry up in the top side. I actually, when we were thinking about the Kalista, not when I'd want to run into Caitlyn. It's pretty horrendous matchup when it's just like, oh, I get auto-attacked down for the next 20 minutes of this game.
Kind of says we're going to lane swap or bust.
Yeah.
Okay, last pickup is the Trundle once again. So we have the same matchup there. We could expect the standard 2v2s, but maybe this time G2 want to avoid it?
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn. I mean, Ezreal isn't really going to be under too much pressure from Caitlyn, but with the Bard, you don't really have the effectiveness of being able to trade too effectively because you get harassed down by the Janna and the Caitlyn. If Caitlyn had an AD, had a melee range support, it would be different, but Janna Kate is obnoxious to lane against. So much damage comes out, headshot with the shield on, plus their push potential. Ezreal's not exactly the best at not getting pushed into tower, and Caitlyn Janna kind of just shoves them
really fast while you do it. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Also means that in a 2v1, you have a very fast push with that setup too.
So I guess a lot of choices to be made for G2. As the coaches shake hands once again to walk themselves off the stage and let their players let it all lay out on the Rift. If you think G2 will be handed a loss here for the first time, they still haven't been beaten. Tweet hashtag G2 win if you think they're not going to lose, that is. At Lil Esports is the place. Hashtag ROCCAT win, ROC win, if you think ROCCAT will be the team to hand it to them. I got myself all turned around.
It's okay.
It's been one of those days, hasn't it?
It has been one of those days, but it's been one of those awesome days where we've had different game after different game when it comes to the meta, and we've got a fourth and completely different one once again. We've got complete disengage coming out from ROCCAT.
Here we go. We're on the Rift. It's game number 2. ROCCAT and G2. Slightly different picks, a different player coming in for the G2 lineup. Let's see how things shake out.
So let's look at what G2 are looking for from this. They've got the Azir in the middle lane, which is going to hold their hope with the other 3 members, while Expect pushes up in a side lane with that Irelia. Will look to take control. We saw the Irelia Trundle matchup. Bit of a mistake from Kigis, allowed PerkZ to get a kill on him in the previous game, but Kigis also got the first kill too, and then got baited by his own success previously. So now we get to see this matchup again. We get to see whether Expect plays it slightly differently. See whether PerkZ dies 1v1 this time.
So many questions.
Yeah.
We'll have to find out. So far, the answer we do have is we should be in for those standard lanes. And another question we have is who's going to win this dance-off in mid?
I think it's going to be PerkZ.
By default. Yeah, the only competitor.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way of winning one of those. I have another question I can answer for you.
Oh, please.
Which dragon is it going to be first? And I'll answer it. It's going to be Cloud. I should let you guess. But it's Cloud, so that means...
I'm just disappointed now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Christmas morning when all you get is coal and there's nothing else.
Yeah, except the coal
Christmas
gives you
very
15% flat moves. Yeah, it sounds miserable.
15 flat, not
flat
15%.
Sorry, not percent.
15%, I would be like, let's fight over this. Oh, Raze.
Speaking of fighting.
Doesn't get the lockdown.
Oh! Okay. He had his shield for the second hit there. Gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Forecast his skill shots.
Oh, ever so slightly, Steelback was stepped, just maybe 1 or 2 steps back, and that prevented Mithy from getting the binding. Now they can, however, zone away, because you've got this Bard being able to step away for a little bit, but you can see Steelback doesn't actually get zoned from much. We have a top lane trade at the same time. So Zven likely to sit back in this matchup. I don't really think Mithy can trade all that effectively without Raze and Steelback pushing too far up and Raze taking too much damage. But you can see Mithy's going to try, get damage down on Steelback. And ROCCAT are utilizing the shield now to get the extra AD to push this to try and equalize the level 2, because Mithy will get it off this front creep here. And there we go, evened up level 2.
So far so good for G2's bot lane, hanging as strong as they can. Mithy trying his darndest just to knock a couple of...
Oh, here's the headshot with the shield.
Headshots lined up. Oh, he sent on a minion.
Yeah, well, it had to be. G2 had stepped back. Zven and Mithy read the shield plus the headshot animation. And,
I wonder what that could mean.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ooh, you shielded randomly in the middle of a lane after your gun exploded.
Oh, speaking of exploded, PerkZ health bar a little bit low, but he answers back with soldier damage onto Betsy. Oh, man. Honestly, we have to look at every single lane because we might just see some random kills.
Well, there's a lot of intricacy in a lot of these lanes as well. So the same happens with topside. A lot about like trading into the minion wave. Expect doesn't want to do that. Same with PerkZ. Haven't hit level anywhere near level 6 yet as well, so maybe we'll see that stray kill happen. You can see Expect trades in. Doesn't auto PerkZ though, so all of those minions don't aggro onto him.
Yeah,
again,
it's a pretty big wave you don't want to really push against. I mean, it comes down to, like, you're playing separate games in every lane for a while, and really we have to wait till the junglers get involved, right? Who's going to be a little bit quicker to do it? Well, we talked about Gragas maybe not being the fastest to get involved. Maybe Trick makes that difference. He's actually in the bottom side right now with the double buffs on level 4. See if they can bait it out.
I feel like this is more about a counter than actually looking for the gank here, because Trick doesn't spot any jungle, will be spotted on the crab. Trick, unfortunately, and somewhat fortunately for ROCCAT side, was in the tunneled vision, so didn't actually have vision of the crab until it was too late and it already showed on it. So they got good vision on where he was. That allows Airwaks now to push into the top side. He's looking for the wolves to try and get that spirit. PerkZ, top lane.
Graphic cone, okay, does its job. Stops him from going any further there. But PerkZ a little bit more damage dealt than he was able to give back on that. Airwaks will be able to take away this Gromp. Although we might meet Trick pretty soon.
Yeah,
they might be fighting each other. Raze, that's a lot of damage on the Thunderlords, but let's talk back about the jungle. Airwaks is found by Trick. Red buff versus blue buff. Airwaks stops to take a drink, but he flashes and dashes, and Trick is going to follow with his own flash.
Oh, his perks.
Oh, he's a little low, though. Will he be able to secure first blood? They do. Expect even wanted to tag in, but too late to get the assist.
And this all stems from them actually seeing Trick on the bottom side, because that allowed Airwaks to go aggressive top. The problem there is PerkZ went aggressive too. Expect got him very low, and PerkZ had to back away. Airwaks was caught a little out of time when it came to the Gromp, and didn't really get too much, so gets punished for an over-aggressive invade.
All planned. Mithy.
All planned.
Right,
I'm going to just step into the crowd, and they'll see me, and then we'll bait Airwaks in. I don't quite think that's what's going to happen.
At the pro level, you got to think that far ahead.
That's some next level mind games if that actually happened. I don't think so. I think it was just they capitalized on Airwaks overstaying topside without his top lane.
Staying.
Ooh, nice little ball.
Yeah. That was a good stop on the traffic cone of Rang. A little bit of focus on him now in that top side. Big CS differential between him and the Irelia. Mithy going real far forward. The shield comes out a little bit late. Now Airwaks taking advantage of the missing Trick to go and take a little bit of jungle away.
Well, he got punished for this once. Trick, however, can't punish him this time. You can see, though, look how far PerkZ has pushed up. If Airwaks had been level 6 here, this would have been a gank potential. Problem is Betsy out of mana, slightly chunked on health as well. PerkZ utilized his exhaust in the last trade, so only has his flash available, but Airwaks doesn't really have the tools available to do anything. Bottom lane, though, doesn't have flash body slam, but Mithy is going to do the old switcheroo.
Oh, boy. Okay, quick one, and they turn their attention over to Mithy. Not
his
enough
TP
trade
from
damage.
behind, though.
Airwaks. He's going a little leisurely, but he goes right into danger zone. Ray's a little low. Expect is going to flash forward to finish the job. Airwaks will be able to dash away, but Trick is going to follow him. They turn and get damage enough to kill Expect on the backside, but Airwaks, this is all sorts of sloppy.
I mean, it's all sorts of sloppy. He's just trying to desperately get away from anything.
No!
PerkZ gets it at this point. Oh, Airwaks is playing ring around the rosy around the whole bottom side. Nearly got himself out. But
that was weird.
PerkZ got a kill in the middle of that, by the way, in the bot lane. Real strange fight with Airwaks. Oh, PerkZ wants to go in. Gets
Emperor's
Betsy.
Divide. He's got Betsy right under tower range right now, but there is the Chaos Storm, and PerkZ is not able to walk away from it as safely as he would have liked. Makes him think twice about taking that one, and a ghost on to Betsy. Trick hunting for him, but will not be able to find.
Betsy still has his flash available, and he's going to play this riskily. He did, however, see the Rek'Sai on that pink ward and go back down. So this was the bottom lane engage. Airwaks, no ultimate, no flash available to flash body slam, so Zven preemptively uses his flash to get himself away. From this point, Airwaks is pretty much dead, so decides to just go, hey, I'm just going to go out. He didn't know Trick was there, but I think he was just kind of inferring that. This was PerkZ picking up the kill on Expect this early on. Had hit that level 6 off the kill. And then this is Airwaks just falling. I think this is actually probably worse than Airwaks just dying to Trick, because you just gave the Azir a second kill. That's a second kill now onto Airwaks from PerkZ.
Yeah, pretty much. It's been a little bit weird the last couple of minutes. G2, though, they're the ones with the gold advantage, just 1,000 ahead at the 8-minute mark, as PerkZ will pick up his blue buff. And neither team really interested in the Dragon because it doesn't give them a whole lot, so they're just keeping to the lanes, keeping to the action, try and get themselves a little bit more gold.
Realistically, this is Mithy is going to try and get Betsy. Doesn't get the binding, but delays him. He just gets good damage and runs away.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
There's the ulti out of the Ezreal. It's not enough to secure the blue buff.
So close.
Very, very close. We had a lot of close calls this series, man.
Getting a little too hyped, maybe. On them.
There's no such thing as too much hype, Stress.
From my side, maybe. You're allowed.
Yeah. Hey, we can trade.
No, we don't want to trade.
I'm the color caster now.
No, we don't want to trade. I don't know who that's worse for, but we don't want to trade. I think in the end it's worse for the viewers if that happens.
Everybody loses if I start color casting. It's bad. All right, Trick is up on the top side. Mithy's actually going to get knocked into the team. He's going to take a quick magical journey, though. He's fine. Good trade there, but up in the top side, trades for PerkZ and Trick gets the worst of it, but he's able to tunnel away to freedom. Yeah,
Expect didn't come across for that, so nobody really from G2 committing to anything. Mithy got away with his life. Now Airwaks trying to get something done bottom lane still. No ultimate. Has flash to body slam flash, but you're against an Ezreal and a Bard, so fairly difficult to lock down. Here comes the trap placement from Steelback. He is only on 2 stacks of trap because he's at level 6 and has been kind of double maxing Q and W at the same time. So
best of both.
can only stack 3 of them.
Uh-oh, Spect is right into that minion wave. He sends out his ultimate, but PerkZ, that is a big nightstick, takes a bite out of him, but he tanks too many turret shots and thinks twice.
But you can see how PerkZ has full control of this top lane right now, and Expect needs more time to be able to sit up here 1 versus 1. Yes, there is a farm advantage for Expect, but PerkZ is still doing a good job utilizing that subjugate. But now if Expect can heal up in between the next trade and there's no ultimate for the Trundle, there is a chance. The problem is, look at the health disparity and the mana disparity. Expect it would just prefer to recall and you know, maintain some level of security. PerkZ's going to do the same. He's going to recall back out and then just walk back top.
Yeah, no need to get unnecessarily overextended so early on into the game. We have seen a few back and forth, mostly in that bottom side. See PerkZ getting a little bit of extra damage onto Betsy. It's been a tense affair there as well. And he's going to start marching that minion wave towards the mid. More soldier damage, not able to dodge out the laser, however. And we've settled down into a slight lull, but not a whole lot, as they just keep trading poke.
Hey, I mean, PerkZ was looking to go in. Yeah. Every time he sends that soldier forward, I'm like, he's going. He's going.
We got to catch our breath at some point. There really just hasn't been too many opportunities.
Well, this is the kind of game that PerkZ likes, though. It's a little bit scrappy, a little loose. He's got 2 kills already. With the Azir, he's just always looking to go aggressive, always trying to go forward. Pretty good lead for him up against Betsy. About 600, 700 gold is the lead. Bottom lane, though.
Looking to push it.
Look at it. Steelback wants to trade every time, but the shield gets popped and has to back himself away.
Yeah, Mithy even gets the better of him on that, so you just have to try and heal up on the 3% lifesteal. For the time being, in comes PerkZ, and he gets the knockover. Betsy took him a little while to start flying. Exhaust is on. He's going to pop both his summoners, and Trick coming in for the relief pitch. Not going to be enough to get the damage that they needed to finish Betsy. They both will just have to limp home and lick their wounds.
Airwaks just got spotted on the bottom side, though. Mithy and Zven might be in trouble. Ultimate is available.
Oh, doesn't tank it. Now Zven is trying to get away, but the Gragas sticks to him like glue. Looking for even more. Zven, summoner heal popped. In comes Trick, though. They get a knock-up onto Airwaks. A Janna ultimate. Airwaks staying alive. Expect looking for an opening around the side. Steelback, though, should be able to finish off Zven. He needs a Peacemaker to do it, and he manages to secure. But they are deep in enemy territory, and Trick is going to pick up Airwaks. Expect around the side, get Steelback, and now Trick going oh so low. PerkZ will get 1. All said and done. He's not going anywhere else. It is a 3 for 2 in favor of G2.
Raze is going to get away from this as the only survivor from ROCCAT. Betsy wasn't in the fight for the majority of it towards the end of that. And okay, for ROCCAT, it looked to be a good start for them because they get onto Zven. They force his flash very early on, but look at how much they have to commit to this. G2 get to completely peel for Zven for so long. That was a great Bard ultimate onto PerkZ. Actually really delayed the Trundle from getting into the fight. The timing as he arrived, I was wondering where the Bard ult was going to hit, and it was great timing. Steelback gets drawn into the fight further and is easy to pick up for the rest of this. Expect just goes ham and cleans it up. And I mean, if there's somebody that G2 want to get ahead at this point, it is going to be this Irelia, because if you can get Irelia past that Trinity Force point and dominate the solo lane matchup, there's no reason why the rest of G2 can't look after themselves in mid lane and look to kind of quickly push ROCCAT back towards their base.
Put the gold on the people they want it to be on. 3-1-1 now on this Irelia, so Expect doing what they need him to do, cleaning these things up. ROCCAT just really going a little bit deep on that one, and I'm even surprised Raze made it out. He just kind of turned around and, all right, I'm out of here. Well, we're not surviving this.
The reason he got out is because he was a low priority target in comparison to the rest of the lineup. They wanted to just take care of everybody else, and it's okay if the Janna gets out because there's no real added value. I mean, it would be nice to get him, but they wanted to take down.
So maybe he brings back the tail to the rest of the team. I've seen some stuff. Don't go past that turret.
Yeah, it's always a risky move. And you can see how little Dragon means for these two teams, or at least Cloud Drake. After a fight, nobody takes it, and then everybody goes to the top lane.
And it stays forever.
It just stays there.
Like a bad party guest. Won't leave. 14 minutes into this game, though, G2 are the ones that have amassed that gold lead, 3,000 ahead of ROCCAT. A lot of that is off of what just happened in the bottom side, but you can see they're not letting up on this. They want to keep trying to keep pressuring this advantage up in the top side, even though ROCCAT are stacking firm up there as well.
Yeah, it's not just a party guest that won't leave. It's the one that sucks the life out of the party as well, where it's like everybody's bored around
too mean to Cloud Drake?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure. PerkZ is taking a little bit of return damage. Still trying to find more onto Betsy. The blue buffs enabling them to just continue to spam it up constantly. But for all the pizzazz we've talked about in those mid lanes, it's really been a lot about getting into the side lanes and making things happen.
It has been, which is more difficult on an Azir normally.
Yeah.
But Viktor is running Ghost, so
he's got it back up.
No TP. So
yeah, no TP on either of the mid laners. So we're back to a little bit more of like, as you said, scrappy game, the more loose and fast game. But Steelback getting a little bit of damage onto Trick, still tanking up quite a bit through that center hold.
Yep.
Tank jungle, carry tops. We're in a new meta.
I like it. I like it, Pyro. We're going to end up with Zac coming out of the jungle. Some regions already playing it.
Except for, Goms will pick it up anyways. And
yeah,
fight with Spirit over it.
That is
different team, though. We're not talking about Fnatic right now. Zven's still going to be just kind of trading farm quite a lot back and forth. And, you know, looking at the late game damage potential of this team, you've got the Azir, you've got the Ezreal, you've got Irelia, who, as you said, kind of starts to take over. But Mithy is a little low. Careful.
Well, there's the trap damage.
Yeah.
That comes out.
Don't step on those.
Especially with the Janna, you know, shield on with the headshot. You just, so deadly.
Oh. Yeah, Caitlyn is, I think, a champion that doesn't look like she does a lot when she's not getting those headshots, but when she really has it all lined up with the extra damage and the extra range, it just hurts. And now PerkZ finds out that Gragas body slam also kind of hurts.
Yeah, it kind of hurts. And as you said with Caitlyn, that's the interesting thing about the Trap Max build is it actually accounts for a lot of her, you know, difficulties in the middle lane, in the mid part of the game, if you'll excuse me. Accounts for a lot of that dip in damage that we were so accustomed to with Caitlyn or Betsy again.
Yeah, Betsy, he's knocked up and he's exhausted. Nowhere to go. Tries to flash it out, but can't. PerkZ secures him on a soldier hit.
PerkZ, if at first you don't quite succeed, try and try again. That's a third time we've really seen that style of play onto Betsy there. PerkZ just kind of taunting
Does it with
a little.
style, too.
That's the point where you know if there was masteries on Tournament Realm, he would be spamming it.
He is that one. He's not the only one, but he is that player.
But that in that scenario.
Look, I got level 7, guys. Still no Cloud Drake priority. Obviously, expect trying to 1v1 now onto PerkZ. Backs away. He's got the minion wave in tow, though. And still the game continues pretty much as it ever was, but with the G2 advantage still growing a little bit more and more over time. We're close to 4,000 in the lead, and that's pretty significant at 17 minutes in.
Yeah, fairly significant. And I mean, G2, they want to extend this lead. You can see 2,300 gold right now on Zven in that top lane, but they can't push to finish the turret off because of the trap line. Bottom lane, however, there's a 1v1.
Oh, this is getting pretty bloody right now. PerkZ, who's going to take this one away? The flash forward, and he takes him down. PerkZ with the bigger nightstick.
Yeah, Expect just could not finish that fight off. Didn't want to commit and tried to flash away to get out of it. It was too late. At that point, it was top lane. Gragas is up here, Steelback with the headshot.
Peacemaker, just to keep him a little bit low. PerkZ will manage to grab that tower in the bottom side. So, give him another top laner, and I'll still take the stick to him.
Yeah, you'll still club him down. But I mean, it's the same as game 1 where we see like, Kikis got the kill on PerkZ. Now PerkZ kills him and punishes him when he's overconfident.
It's just the best skill matchup ever, man. Trundle into Irelia. We don't know who's going to win.
Irelia is going to win later.
Yeah, but not now.
Fair.
God, don't give us spoilers.
I mean, Expect thought he was going to win. Yeah, otherwise he wouldn't have taken that trade. It turns out Subjugate proves him wrong.
Oh, God. Trundle is just... Trundle gets pretty gross. In all honesty, though, like we have seen some really, really crazy damage when he goes up against those big bruisers, and you know it's definitely linchpin in this ROCCAT composition right now. But as you said, Irelia, really, really, really strong later on in the game as well. If they can utilize that, they've got a lot of G2 members here though, looking to charge down the mid, and Betsy takes one look at that and says, "Nope."
Yep. At that point, PerkZ can't use a rise on the tower anymore, so it's 6.11. So,
he does get a fun disc down, though.
Yeah,
and Expect is going to get some more damage on the bottom tower.
A little slow on the push. Expect right now really would wish that he could buy a QSS and it would work against Trundle. Unfortunately, it doesn't after the changes back on 6.9. So that would basically straight up win this matchup for him completely. Yeah. Not an option now. So he has to find other ways now of getting different bits of damage, different ways of surviving through. PerkZ going to get his blues up. And again, top lane, they're trying to push it out, but the trap line, until now, had been established by Steelback. Steelback's actually adapted the trap line, has put 3 along the entrance. And he's trying to just wave clear. But G2, that means they can just commit a bunch of people top lane and maybe push that tower down.
Yeah, for the time being, ROCCAT did manage to stall out that top lane, but it was at the cost of them losing the mid. And now with nothing else for them to really bother taking, yeah, G2 can now focus all their attention trying to take this one out. Or you see Trick heading up, the rest of the team slowly meandering that way with the exception of Expect.
The problem is that that kind of trap line assumes that G2 don't have a way of getting in behind that entrance to the top side.
Can't cover it all.
Expect now going to get kind of wailed on by PerkZ a little bit more.
Still having some trouble dealing. He's got a pretty massive CS lead over the Trundle as well, but you're just starting to see what PerkZ can really accomplish on this champion, forcing Expect to back away, but they did lose a tower in exchange for it.
I believe the adaptation here, last game, I think PerkZ, if I'm not mistaken, went Ravenous Hydra, and not the Titanic. So
yeah,
PerkZ now
right.
a little tankier, a little more difficult to deal with the Subjugate as well, makes him tough to take down in a 1v1 for Expect. So this is a matchup that I want to see how it continues, because Airelia's doing the old damage build, which is you've got Triforce, get yourself Blade of the Ruined King, get yourself into the fight. Last game was a Hex Drinker, and kept Expect alive for a long time. Keep us alive. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, they look very similar in the way things have played out. So
in the Irelia game.
Yeah, it was not like we've seen a whole lot different out of the two top laners at the moment. So maybe it's not too rough for PerkZ to really try and predict too much. We'll have to see as the game goes on. We're 21 minutes really only into this game. Baron's obviously hit the rift, and poor old Cloud Drake is still sitting all by his lonesome. Hasn't had any action since the Gragas tried to dash over his wall.
I think this is the longest we've seen a dragon not get taken before.
We can take the next dragon down, guys. We know.
Just go for the. No, it's okay. Yeah. Just go for like the next dragon. Let's start taking. You know.
Should maybe we put in a we talk to the live design guys and say, hey, can you just like if dragons don't get taken in 20 minutes, just like give us a new one. Morphs into another dragon.
They just group up and turn into one super dragon.
Let's see. ROCCAT trying to defend. PerkZ runs right into a Chaos Storm, and he sends the Empress Divide. It's flashed by Betsy. Here's the 1v1 opportunity, but they put down the Tempered Fate, and now he's the one who's trapped. Ezreal ulti, everything was on him. He thought it was a 1v1, but they just ganged up on him.
Oh, G2, they want to follow this up, but Trick, he's like, okay, let's finally take the dragon, the first one of the game that has been here. They've got to be careful ROCCAT don't try and fight over this. This might be the first Cloud Dragon fight in history.
Could possibly be, and Trick is caught up in the back of the pit. He got disrupted here. It's still not gone down yet. Nobody wanted to smite it away. It's finally taken by PerkZ, but the rest of ROCCAT are having a little bit of trouble, or are they? PerkZ goes down. A quick headshot by the Caitlyn. Steelback trying to stay alive. Through a triple kill, he manages to succeed.
Airwaks!
And Airwaks, he's getting the bop off, but Mithy finishes him. It's only PerkZ left. What a bloody fight.
Last man standing is PerkZ, and we talked about how these fights and, you know, this Trundle back and forth would be fairly critical. I mean, PerkZ misses the ultimate. Betsy flashes forward, and it's the switcheroo with the mid laners here. Mithy gets the lockdown, Betsy gets dropped into a respawn timer, and from here, G2 were not banking on ROCCAT fighting this. They did not anticipate having to fight 4 versus pretty much 4 in this scenario when you look at PerkZ health bar and the fact that Ezreal's not in this fight. So Trick took so much damage in the middle of this fight that he just couldn't survive. Expect deals so much here and cleans up a lot of it, but ends up falling because he's fairly squishy. Zven takes down Steelback as the triple kill came in from Steelback, and then over the wall, little unfortunate that Airwaks was the other side waiting for them, gets the double knockback, allows PerkZ to pick up the 2 kills, and man, that was bloody over a Cloud Drake.
Yeah, 20 minutes of smack talking it, and it turns out to be one of the most important things for the teams. All right, so ROCCAT get themselves that flat 15 move speed. ROCCAT also get that fight, just barely, but the gold lead still stays in G2's favor. The next dragon will be Mountain, by the way, so we'll probably see a little bit more fights over that. Betsy, a lot of damage, chunking his health bar out, and PerkZ going forward. Got to be careful, he's under the Fundus, sends out Divide once again, but the Chaos Storm is on. That Bard ultimate did not go where they wanted to go, but PerkZ disrupting the back, looking for PerkZ. The barrel secures him. And now PerkZ might have stepped too far forward himself, and Expect gets the kill.
Expect gets into the fight, and again, it's G2 looking to always press forward, looking to go aggressive, and you can see again, it's chunking out from PerkZ. He gets so much damage down to begin with. That's the turret going over. G2 gonna back away, but they actually, yeah, they're avoiding Steelback, who's just coming back in towards this fight. Did not want to be in a position where Caitlyn could clear them up.
Caitlyn does manage to start chunking down the wave in the towers. We'll have to see if ROCCAT can keep holding this one firm. They are a little bit low on the gold side, but really been a lot of bloodiness back and forth since that Cloud Drake. Everyone's like, all right, let's just start fighting everywhere we can. One tower for ROCCAT, by the way, a big part of this gold difference is the fact that G2 have taken the 4 towers, and ROCCAT have really only been able to get the one in the bottom.
Yeah, ROCCAT spent so much time in preventing their towers from going down early on that they really had no way of actually taking down G2's towers. There were those fights in the bottom lane that kind of transitioned badly for them, and then they regressed with Steelback to a position where he could continue to farm up and keep himself alive. So this is the mid lane trade. Betsy again drops incredibly low. PerkZ only clipped Raze with that. And G2, a little caught out with Airwaks coming in from the side. He's had a pretty good series, actually, with Airwaks. And that was pretty much it for G2 being able to take that. Rek'Sai ult just comes back up into the river.
And this is the game that we kind of, I think, expected to see ROCCAT maybe struggling a little bit in the early and G2 kind of having a little bit more aggression on them to start things off. But we do know, despite the last game, ROCCAT are good and are very solid at these team fights. In all honesty, it's a very, very better game from them in terms of staying alive and staying all together at this point in the game, because it was about to end.
Yeah.
If you look to last game at about this time.
I think, though, when you look at it, you know, we spoke about how G2 are very aggressive coming into game 1 and how that can be punished. We're seeing it again because PerkZ really is letting, like, I don't want to say like an ego, but he's playing overconfident in these games. Yes, he's still doing very well, like, don't get me wrong, but there is a line between being overconfident and costing your team plays where you're going forward into fights, you're starting them off, and maybe you're not getting the right start to that. So it's kind of almost a coin flip. If you're not 100% sure you're about to win this next following skirmish, then G2 have been baited into fights that haven't gone perfectly for them.
That's true. But it also speaks to, at least for PerkZ, a lot of trust he has in his teammates to be there and to back him up, where they have been, and that's why things like that switcheroo managed to pay dividends. Yes, they lost the fight, but I mean, it's a 4 for 5 over a Cloud Drake. No one's predicting that.
Sure, but I mean, it's not clean is the thing
that's very true.
Say about it. And honestly, it's one of the things that, you know, when you look at a game, you become a bit of a stickler about when you're breaking down like what is the theoretical top play and that kind of thing on like how should a team be looking to close a game, and generally giving your life away for it or like being in a position where you can get punished tends not to be the best option most of the times, but can be successful. And we've seen how G2, they've had these scrappy games that, you know, game 2 of their series always has been a little bit more back and forth where G2 have had to fight. That was game 1 in this series. G2 have been in the lead for the majority of this game. It's been better. I just hope they don't try and make these plays against teams that are even more likely to punish them early in the game.
Yeah, in a way, it's actually good it's happening to them now, so they maybe learn from that a little bit more.
Hey,
but
as long as they fix it.
That is the key.
Don't get used to it.
But for ROCCAT, though, this is still one of the Origin game aside, is one of the closest teams come to beating them so far in this split.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see how it progresses. We've got 15 seconds on the next Dragon coming up. This one is definitely something they'll want to fight over. Baron is now a pretty decent option at 28 minutes when teams have enough damage to start taking out. Maybe not ROCCAT, still waiting on the Caitlyn.
The thing is, when you look at it, with saying that is almost like saying that this game's done, which of course it's not, because ROCCAT are in a situation where they have good disengage, they have a Caitlyn that if they can keep Steelback alive, he can clean up the fight very effectively as we're getting past that 3-item mark. You can see 3 items on Caitlyn, opting for the attack speed rather than the flat damage. Sometimes you see Bloodthirster come out as a 3rd item. on Caitlyn. Probably will follow this up with a Bloodthirster.
Not a lot
maybe
of
some armor pen.
I mean, some, but not really a need for as much of it as fast.
And that's what I was going to say, is like there's a Frozen Heart on Irelia, which is a little annoying to deal with for Caitlyn.
A randomness on the Rek'Sai, that's about it.
You have a Subjugate, which will shred a lot of that off anyway. So, you know, there's now options for Steelback to go a few different routes if he wants to be able to basically pop Zven or PerkZ when he hits them, or deal with the tanks. Just up to Steelback as a player now as to what he thinks the team needs.
Right, so G2 able to secure themselves the Mountain Drake. Not really contested here, but
Airwaks
now
top.
going towards the bottom side. Flashing away and avoiding the big barrel, knocking them right back into the team. For now, ROCCAT have defended, but G2 are hotly trying to push it in. Trick taking up the ace in the hole. Janna shield on, Ezreal ult flying. No minion waves for anybody.
Yeah, it's Janna shield plus Viktor laser on into the wave. Means the turret doesn't take the damage, and the minions don't survive long enough for the rest of G2 to push up, so they're going to struggle in this scenario. Also with the Caitlyn traps, they may not be perfectly placed right now, but Steelback will adjust that, and he has the cooldowns available. But you can see, look, PerkZ doesn't want to move from this middle lane. On Azir, it's always the difficulties. You want to be able to sit mid lane, always push it out.
Do not go back to base.
No park. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200 euros, I guess, since we're in Germany.
Monopoly's weird in Europe, man.
It is. But then again, like, yeah.
Baron Pit. That's the place to be right now. G2 saying we have the damage to take this. Another traffic cone comes out, but it's already down to 5,000 health. ROCCAT have to move, scurry in, and see if Airwaks can maybe get a hero play. PerkZ was flashed away. Big Barrel comes in. They knock Trick, but was he really the one they wanted? Not enough damage, but they do take care of the smite. It is going to be Airwaks that follows through. Expect coming in, right into 4 members. Not enough. It's a triple kill. Over to Betsy, and G2 are melting. It's only Zven left, and he does not have the damage to deal with the rest of this team.
Ace in the hole still available. Sven's got to be careful if he pushes forward. That's a little damage down, but this is going to be the Baron going over to ROCCAT. Zven, the only way past that trap line would be to E over, and look at his health already. He cannot afford to do that. He's no flash, so there's no real way of securing this Baron for G2. Sven's going to have to back off, and that was a perfect fight for ROCCAT when you look at how well it could have gone for them. You look at their disparity coming into this game with regards to the gold lead and the way G2 were playing it, the massive damage that came from Betsy to open this fight up. So Airwaks goes in, he just gets his ultimate available as he goes into the fight, manages to catch Trick to push him back into the team, and yes, he's a tank and normally that's not enough, but look at the zone, the gravity field, and then the follow-up damage that comes from the Viktor is enough to force G2 back into their own jungle. Zven couldn't really actively output damage in the majority of that team fight, and it results in the Baron going over to ROCCAT as well as the team. They have well and truly evened this game up.
Oh yeah, and that was just at face value 5v5 when they said, we're going to pull the trigger on the Baron. We talked about G2 getting punished for making mistakes and being over-aggressive individually. That was a straight-up 5v5, and ROCCAT just crushed it. They get themselves the Baron, they grab another tower here, ace in the hole. They're starting to play with some confidence for sure, starting to close that gold gap themselves, and they show that they can tango with G2 Esports.
Yeah, they can tango with them, and unfortunately, for G2's side, they can also team fight with them fairly effectively as well, because I don't know why you'd want to team fight particularly into a Viktor, into a Caitlyn with the Gragas, the Janna there to disengage. G2 felt like they were perhaps strong enough to be in that position and open things up, but their team composition isn't strictly good at team fighting. They have a lot of presence coming in team fights from the Azir, from the Ezreal, but the problem is ROCCAT have a lot of tools to allow their carries to carry in these team fights, and G2 don't quite have the same amount of tools to get on top of ROCCAT and punish that without a perfect setup.
And to add insult to injury, ROCCAT have now grabbed a lot more gold to be able to enable those tools to start doing that work. We're pretty much close to completely closing that gap, and as they send people down to the bot to deal with it, PerkZ gets free time on this inner turret up top. He's going to be able to secure that, get even more for his team. We look at the gold graph, no matter how this game goes, it's going to show a big spike up for ROCCAT. 33 minutes into this game, and they have evened it.
Yeah, they've leveled it up, and I mean, with the Baron, we've still got the Baron power play running for them. We'll see exactly how much they end up with as we get longer and longer through this Baron buff.
And another Mountain Drake coming up in a minute as well. If they can secure that, they'll get even more burn to be able to deal with the towers, to be able to start contesting Barons a little bit quicker when they do become another thing on the map to take. And we have quite a lot of league to play yet, barring a massive wipe.
Well, Steelback has opted for the Bloodthirster. Wants that extra damage on the squishes. You can see how much damage he was already dealing.
Caitlyn is a good champion, is one thing I've learned from this series.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn has seen a rise in prominence. I actually really like the place where Caitlyn is at right now, because although she does have a fairly oppressive laning phase, it can be punished, and you can punish a Caitlyn very easily. She has clear weaknesses. Getting engaged upon is one of them that you then need to build a team comp around, like with a Janna and a Gragas.
Which ROCCAT, you know, they're drafting. It's one of those things we did give them a lot of credit for. The whole Jace fixation kind of notwithstanding, they have been able to do quite well with it. Airwaks waiting patiently.
Sneaky fat man is in behind them. TP coming out from ROCCAT.
Okay, the fight's going to start. And Betsy gets locked in stasis. Expect trying around the side, but the rest of G2, they're completely split off from the rest of the team. The Janna is a little bit too low to get involved. Raise. See if they can catch on to Trick. PerkZ to divide here. Steelback is solo in all of this. It is a very, very hectic chase around. We've not got enough room to even show it. Zven takes out Steelback, but Expect might go down as well. Not before securing Raze. The Irelia running wild. He goes crazy into the back line. G2 have found exactly what they needed. 3 kills and hunting for more.
The other side of a Caitlyn, if you can engage on her, she dies. The real thing in that fight was if Caitlyn's on her own. Oh, Mithy wants Perang at this point with Zven. Caitlyn was on her own in that team fight. That is the one thing ROCCAT cannot afford to have happen. And G2 punish it heavily. It's only a matter of time now before Airwaks either recalls out, but he's already been prevented to get back in time, and it's going to be towers going down in favor of G2. They're going to look for the dragon as well if they want to here. So G2 managed to come from what was a bad team fight into a much better fight by catching Raze out.
Starting to pick up that gold back in their pocket again. Mithy still chasing down Airwaks, preventing him from really backing away. Now Trick's found him. He's getting a lot of exercise on this run through the jungle, but he's stunned up, locked up. The Ezreal ulti comes out, a little bit more damage. He is real tanky, though. Must have some milk in that barrel just to keep his bones nice and healthy, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him alive. The rest of G2 collapse on. Should be able to grab themselves Mountain Drake off of that as well. So
this was the fight again, and you could instantly hear here in the studio the reaction from both G2 and ROCCAT once they realized that Steelback was on his own. Look, Airwaks and Perang go up to try and take out Trick. They bypass a lot of it, and then Steelback, he gets tagged by the Iceborne Gauntlet and doesn't have enough to keep Zven and Expect from popping it instantly in this fight. There was so much noise from both teams when they realized Steelback was under threat that everybody kind of looked around and figured out where Steelback was, but it was too late for ROCCAT to save that. And from what was potentially a game-winning fight from ROCCAT, getting themselves multiple kills and then a Baron, G2 have snatched the lead right back in their favor.
Yeah, Expect was monstering in the back line, and Zven, well, he shot the Sheriff, and it definitely worked out. Big, big damage in that fight, 5,600. Mountain Drake was taken while all of that was happening off screen, so G2 got themselves another one. They'll show up in just a few minutes. 37 minutes into this game, they're right back in the gold lead, but we have seen ROCCAT have been able to fight from behind, and the next dragon, dun dun dun.
Surprise, surprise. We're past 35 minutes. Yeah. Try not to be sarcastic on this one. It's all good. To be honest, I hadn't looked at the time, so it was good to remind me.
You can't really look at the clock in a game like this, and the whole series has really been a whole lot of action back and forth, and it's just the way G2 and ROCCAT like to play it out. Love these scrappy games.
Yeah, they're good, fun games. Scrappy, not always
perfect. That's for
not
sure.
always clean.
Okay, Perks.
Well, there's
that's the mistakes.
There's the damage that comes from Caitlyn, and that's Perks playing on the front foot a lot. Which, you know, we commend players for playing on the front foot as well. Just a funny thing. We're like,
depends on what your champion is.
He's a front foot AD carry, always going forward aggressively, which, you know, we say from time to time. Isn't always a good thing, is the moral of that story.
I don't know who says that. Specifically the word.
I am naming them.
Okay, good.
I said it earlier.
No one said it. Okay, good. It's absolutely true. But still, jury's out on how he will play along in the European LCS. Back into this game, 2 Mountain Drakes. That's going to give G2 quite a lot of power to take out this Baron, as well as starting to shred down towers. Big wave up in the top side, pushing against ROCCAT. Expect trying to build one in the bottom. And the good old Baron dance will start to commence pretty soon. We talked about a tango, it's more of a salsa.
There's a small window for Expect where he has TP advantage. It's about 20 to 30 seconds right now, and you can see but that forces PerkZ to be with the team. And now G2 are just going to rush this down. They've got it.
Airwaks, he should have just gone in for the steal at this point, denied with the Emperor's Divide, and now they get two locked up. Steelback and PerkZ. Flashing back, though, was expecting the teleport, turning around, expect is coming back in. Excuse me, he wasn't involved in the fight just yet, but now he is. But he gets his GA popped. Airwaks does not go down. PerkZ a little bit low here, and expect right on the trap as he comes back up. They managed to get one for none. They lose the Baron.
Just gets popped. So G2 managed to pick up the Baron from that, but they didn't want the rest of the fight, as it turned out. Expect pops during that fight, and I mean, there was a moment where PerkZ wanted to go in. He was thinking about it, saw Steelback.
And he's the one who flashed away.
He is the one that flashed away. It looked like a weird interaction on our program screen the first time that we looked at it, but I went and checked on my monitor, and it was he flashed back away from Steelback as he tried to go in aggressive while the Bard ult was on.
That's the I regret this decision flash.
Yeah, that was.
At least PerkZ is learning.
The problem is it cost him his flash, and now G2. I like though that they were able to back away from the majority of that fight and not lose too much, although losing Expect now kind of reduces a lot of what they wanted to do with their solo lane, their side lane at least. For G2 though,
gave up a lot of pressure to try and secure that Baron.
They still are in a decent situation. We're in the late game, and as we said in the early series when we got this late, it's not about the gold right now. It's about the flow and kind of the positioning on the map.
It's where ROCCAT have been shining. This is the latest they've been allowed to get in the series by a good 10 minutes, of course. Last game being completely in the past. We'll have to see how they're able to fight. Ezreal tagging the minion wave clears a lot of that away for G2 up in the top side. But most of ROCCAT are actually hanging out in the mid lane right now, trying to prevent the siege up.
And this could be a bit of a mistake from G2 here. They put Rek'Sai top. They obviously had the ultimate to get her back towards the rest of the team, but Expect does not have teleport. There was a moment there where ROCCAT may have been able to look for an engage. Didn't really look to pull the trigger on it. Couldn't get themselves into the mix. And we'll have to concede a little bit of room there. But we're reaching full item builds on people. Oh, PerkZ!
Talk about items a little bit later. PerkZ has got nowhere to go! And he's taken out by the rest of the team. Now this gives ROCCAT a fighting chance. Zven, ace in the hole, trying to kite away from Airwaks. Not enough damage to finish him off just yet. It was a near miss, though. He'll have to get out of there for now. It's going to be a 4v4. 1 minute left on Elder Dragon availability. What a tense moment in this mid lane.
Steelback just could not quite get close enough to get the damage down onto Zven as he was trying to kite back, and means that he didn't get punished. But it was PerkZ again playing forward in the fight. Gets completely caught out by Airwaks coming over the wall. Trick's gone in.
We're not done with this just yet. Expect trying to tank up the back line and force all the damage. Parang taking a little bit back on himself. And they are on the front foot now. Raze, ROCCAT, they're trying to push it all forward, but they got stunned up for just a second. G2 just trying to kite it all out, but in comes Airwaks again. He's slowed down for just a minute, but they've caught Zven. He's over the wall, but his health bar is almost gone. Gonna have to burn his flash. Expect is down, and they're able to knock out Trick as well, keeping healthy with the Janna Monsoon. ROCCAT with a massive power play now, and it's 15 seconds until Elder.
They couldn't quite lock down Zven for the entire thing, so Steelback actually flashed over the wall. Ace in the hole comes out. Can they get the final damage on him?
Looking for it, Barrow. He can't pop it. Oh!
Zven is taking so much time, but he's out of mana. He's out of summoners. And is he out of there? Not for now.
Still running, still kiting, still tagging them. How many traffic cones is this guy completely ignored? Parang will maybe finally get him. I can't believe he's tanking it. There we go. It's Elder time. And this game is just nuts.
Zven manages to soak up so much time, but it was only Raze and Parang that actually got drawn into that frenzy. The rest of ROCCAT were taking the Elder Dragon, and so PerkZ gets caught out to begin this. This is the second phase of the fight where Trick tries to go aggressive onto Steelback. Expect jumps in, but look at it. McHale's came out, I believe, instantly from Janna onto Caitlyn, gets him back out of the fight, and they're allowed to reposition at this point. Steelback heals back up from the minions using that Bloodthirster, and from here, it's kiting down through the jungle for G2 and Zven. Look at how low Zven gets in this fight, and he still manages to run all the way through. Steelback flashing over the wall. One of the most aggressive plays we've seen, akin to a PerkZ's play earlier today, but this time it was to chase down and get the rest of the kills on the fight. Fairly risky still, but pays off. Steelback and the rest of ROCCAT turned to The Elder Dragon was the Bard ult that
what a
prevents,
clutch Tempered Fate to buy so much time.
The Q pop. Wasn't at his desk. Couldn't hit accept.
This game, these fights just keep showing that it is really anyone's to take. 44 minutes in, with a Baron behind, ROCCAT were able to win that fight off good positioning, good cohesion. Still 2,000 gold is the difference, but that just does not matter when you're full stack. They've got the Elder Drake for a few more minutes, and they secure themselves another turret. It's 5-5 now. They've still got PerkZ sitting on the side lane, just trying to force the wave and force the attention of Expect.
And you can see the knock-on effect of leaving a Cloud Drake up for 22 minutes of a game is that Elder Dragon. Yeah, we're going to amplify the 15 flat movement speed by a further 50%.
50%, yeah.
Oh yeah, 22.5 movement speed.
That's almost boots one, by the way.
But the key thing about that is actually that
they get the burn.
It's the burn. It's the added damage that actually helps.
Well, they also have this massive minion wave to be able to start pushing things down. So they actually get themselves a power lead now. But still, this game is on such a knife's edge. A big fight. With the death timers the way they are right now, if you get a wipe for losing 1 or 2 members, it can be all over.
Yeah, it's the tentative point of the game where we're never sure which team. It's all on the execution on the start of these team fights. Got to ward the flanks, stop any kind of easy engage, and again, ROCCAT recognize that they just need to keep Steelback safe for these fights.
Yeah,
Betsy has damage.
ROCCAT have done this so well, though.
Ultimately, if Betsy dies halfway through the fight, it's actually okay as long as Steelback survives.
Yeah.
Because Steelback will clean up after the damage is done from Betsy. Whereas if PerkZ dies early on, Zven, yes, he has damage, but it's kind of not enough on his own if Steelback's still there.
Yeah, the Caitlyn takeaway is definitely proving to be a really, really valuable thing. It just suits Steelback's style and the way this team are able to craft compositions with their style, with just saying, hey, we just need to make sure our AD carry is way, way, way in the back line. And obviously that's kind of a duh thing, but they're the ones who are executing that pretty much every time. And that's how they win these fights.
Rek'Sai comes out. Trundle dropped back in the lane, not to show his positioning, but there's a lot of wards behind. Oh, they caught Steelback!
They did, but they're right in the front of it, buying time. PerkZ actually has to go golden himself now, and they're going to surround him. Emperor's Divide to push everyone back, but look at how low they are. Teleport will get cancelled in the end.
But ROCCAT can turn. Look how low they got PerkZ. Expect cancelled his teleport, and that is going to give ROCCAT the position now. They don't have the Bard ultimate to start this off. ROCCAT have got the trap line set up. Trick is going to have to look to steal. This is the only thing really that can prevent ROCCAT from actually taking this Baron is a steal. Trick's not going to go in. He's not even going to commit.
Baron is taken for free after that's all done, or rather, they well earned it. ROCCAT with the power move. 47 minutes into this one, they managed to secure themselves an uncontested Baron after chunking out G2 eSports. What can they get with it?
And again, it was the beginning of the fight looked so good, but PerkZ trying to go into follow-up from the Bard ultimate meant that he had to flash back out. It was the same scenario as in the topside jungle where he gets baited in by the good Tempered Fate onto Steelback, but with no other follow-up. There was no real way of locking the Caitlyn down, and ROCCAT are looking to siege now with their long range. Once the traps come out down onto the inhibitor floor, it's going to be difficult for G2 to defend without a mistake coming from ROCCAT.
A lot of damage being dealt by Steelback. The traps start getting snapped. Damage being dealt on this turret. G2 scrambling to try and defend. Let's see if they can hold the line here. The answer is gonna be no. Down goes the turret. G2 in full retreat back, and that inhibitor will not last long. The base is cracked, and it's G2 that are on the back foot here. But Zven, that's a lot of damage. You can't step up on that one. Gotta be careful. ROCCAT, they're staying safe just enough, though. And now they can turn their attention elsewhere. Tempered Fate will catch on to Raze, but no one else. And they opt to try and take the fight first. Emperor's Divide, not gonna do nearly enough. He does not get it back into his team, and he's punished. Down he goes for 64 seconds. The rest of the team is looking to fall. That's gonna be game. GA popped on Expect. ROCCAT are gonna take this one all the way to the finish. No one has handed G2 eSports a loss in the European LCS so far. That is about to change. 48 minutes in, ROCCAT, the late game kings of team fighting, will end it against G2. A massive victory to tie the series.
We spoke about it coming into this series. It was going to be the make or break for G2. Could they shrug off their team fighting issues in the late game against a team that everybody was talking about how they team fight, and it just shows you in the late game, back to back to back team fights go over to ROCCAT. It was looking rough from the early game for ROCCAT.
They got 5K behind at one point. It really, I mean, they held out though. And from behind, what a magnificent performance to put them into this late game situation where they could triumph.
There was just a moment where it seemed to click for ROCCAT about, okay, now we actually have to protect Steelback, and it was the one fight that he got, isolated, left on his own, and Expect jumps onto him, takes him out. From there, it was more ROCCAT just to actually recognize what they needed to do in that situation to keep him alive. They play around it, and suddenly PerkZ continues to get baited into fights that his team cannot follow him into, and he either gets chunked out or killed. And ROCCAT have got the numbers advantage from there. They have the extra damage from the Caitlyn, and that pretty much spells the doom for G2 in the late game team fights.
Oh yeah, and a lot of those PerkZ kind of ended up baiting himself, trying to take the fights altogether. But I mean, this is understanding the psychological aspect of the game. ROCCAT knowing that this guy is going to want to jump in on every single fight, and we can craft a comp to not only protect our Caitlyn, but to be able to punish him when he steps too far forward. The PerkZ, I should say. And without him, there just wasn't enough damage on G2's side, not enough collapse. They just couldn't get the job done, and it really dragged on. It was a close affair right to the end.
Yeah, very close. I mean, you look at exactly how that game went. Steelback being able to do a lot of damage in fights, not really just, people saying he's the cleanup. There were a couple of fights like that, but, I mean, you look at the last fight, Steelback outputting so much damage overall. Man, ROCCAT, it's weird because if you took the first half of game one and the second half of game two and put them together, it's like, ROCCAT did such a good job this series. But unfortunately, it was a game one where they had a great lead that they couldn't convert, and a game two where they were very rocky in the early game, and that they managed to turn it around.
Is that not the flip side of the same coin? Because they had a lead, a situation they're not. Listen to me here.
They're
not used to having, and they just kind of gave it up. And then again, they didn't get to late game and lose. The game was over in 30 minutes.
So are you telling ROCCAT fans that they should be happy if their team are 5K down because they're going to figure out how to team fight back?
The trend, statistically, I'm not saying it will happen because of it, but there is a correlation. And if there's anything I've learned from Spellzy, it's that stats don't lie.
It's true.
You just have to read them
But there's
correctly.
always more to a story than just stats.
This is true.
But which is the eternal argument.
ROCCAT know their weaknesses. We heard from Betsy last week that, yes, we have problems in the early game. We have good drafts, and we know how to take late game fights. But conquering your weaknesses, the first step is just to know what they are. If they can find a better way to bridge that early game to just survive. I mean, if you're 5K down against G2 eSports at 15 minutes and you win, you've pretty much beaten one of the hardest teams in the early game to beat.
That's fair.
In the European LCS, so that's not a bad start.
And speaking about the drafts, I actually am quite a fan of what ROCCAT have been doing. This week, they got the Swain and the Vlad banned away, and we were like, oh, can they actually pull this off? I like what they have been doing. I think it's just very solid game plan for ROCCAT. It's not always the cleanest of execution in games, but you can see the strategy, you can see what they want to do.
That's very true. Well, we'll have to hear from maybe a little bit more from them themselves. So we're going to have